Hi, it's Steve. Today we'd like to show you how to change the injector hose on your top load washer. It's a really easy repair. Let me show you how we do it. Now to do this repair, we will need to pull the washer slightly forward from its sitting position. We'll need enough room that we can rotate the control panel backwards. And since we will be working near some electrical circuits, we'll need to disconnect power to your washer. So either pull it far enough forward that you can unplug it, or locate the electrical panel, turn off the appropriate breaker or remove the appropriate fuse, and then we can start the repair. Now, depending on the model that you have, you may have removable end caps on the control panel, or you may just have an exposed screw down through the front or through the back near that end cap. We'll need to remove those two screws so that we can rotate that console backwards and we can access the rest of the washer. On the style that have the hidden type screws, we'll simply need to lift up on that end cap slightly. Just pull it forward. There's also a little tab on the very bottom, so you need to gently pull that away, and then we'll just set that aside. Do the same on the opposite side. Now with the end caps removed, we've exposed the screws that we'll need to remove to rotate that console back. So pull those screws out. And then we'll pull forward slightly at the bottom of that control panel. And tilt it up, rotate it back out of the way. Our next step will be to disconnect the harness connector for the lid switch. Simply lift up on that locking tab and unplug it. And then we'll need to remove the two cabinet retaining clips to allow that back panel to tilt back slightly. Using a flat blade screwdriver, we'll go into that front opening. We'll engage the bottom of that retaining clip with slight downward pressure, pry backwards to unhook it, and simply remove it from the recessed area on the back panel. Do the same on the opposite side. And then we'll set those clips aside. Now next we'll need to lift up slightly on the back of that cabinet. So you can raise the lid to give yourself a little bit of leverage. Now you can remove the cabinet altogether if you wish, although it is not necessary. If you have somebody hold it away, you can simply remove the clamps on that hose and replace it. For the purpose of clarification, we're going to remove the cabinet for this video. We'll simply lift it away from the washer base. Now we'll remove the hose from the injector housing. Simply squeeze the two ends of that clamp together and slide it back onto the old hose. And using a flat blade screwdriver, we'll just pry that gently till we break the bond. And remove it from the injector altogether. Now we'll go to the opposite end of the hose and remove it from the bottom of the fill valve. And we'll do the same on the clamp on the bottom of the valve. And then gently pry that hose off the bottom of the valve. Next, we'll just pull it out from behind this little retaining clip. You can flex that enough to pull the hose out. And then we'll remove the two clamps and transfer them to the new hose. Now the larger of the two clamps, which is the green colored one, fits on the end of the hose that goes onto the injector itself. So we'll begin by attaching the hose to the bottom of our fill valve. Make sure it's pushed firmly up onto the valve. compress the spring clamp, and slide it up into place. And then fit that hose in past the retainer. And attach it to the back of the injector. Again, make sure that it's pressed firmly onto that injector. And then we'll reposition the clamp. And if you've removed the cabinet, we're now ready to put that back in place. Now, if you've removed the cabinet, we need to make sure that we put it on properly. If we look down inside that cabinet along the front, you'll see a folded over lip. We need to make sure that that lip on the front goes underneath the support piece on the washer base. The lip on the sides of the cabinet is going to sit on top of the base frame. So make sure you have it pushed back far enough that that front lip is totally in underneath the base frame. As we tilt that cabinet back, you'll need to tuck that injector in underneath the rear of the cabinet. And then just make sure that the back panel fits in between both sides on the back of the cabinet. We'll then reinstall our two cabinet retaining clips. Take the end with the short hook on it, fit it into that recess on the back panel, and then press the retaining clip down into the cabinet until it locks in place. Reconnect our lid switch, making sure that the locking tab engages. Then we can rotate that control panel forward, and we'll need to make sure that the little feet on the end caps fit into the corresponding slots on the main top. Make sure it's pressed back into place, and then we'll reinstall the two screws through the end. Now next we'll install those end caps. Make sure that the tab on the bottom fits into the appropriate slot. And then simply rotate it back. Make sure the tab on the side fits into that slot. And snap it into place. Same for the opposite side. Make sure the bottom tab and the two on the side fit into their proper spots. And now we're ready to push the washer back into place. We can reconnect the power, and your repair is complete.